Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you are new, my name is Chris. Today's video is all about ranking all of my Chanel fragrances. When I look at my perfume collection, particularly the designer line, I have more Chanel fragrances than any other designer line in my collection, so I thought it would be fun to rank them. Let me tell you, this ranking is kind of a day-to-day thing. I quickly rated them last night, and I already changed a few around today, and I can assure you that will change tomorrow. I'm going to rank my full bottles first, and then I have 6 like travel size sprays that I will rank at the end and let you know if I'm going to upsize to a full bottle or not. If you are a return viewer to my channel and you're not yet subscribed, I would love it if you consider subscribing. If you get anything out of this video and you like my content, I would love a big thumbs up. And before I get started, I would love it if you could let us all know down below what your favorite Chanel fragrances are. There may be a few surprises. There's one big Chanel fragrance that is missing from my collection, and I will tell you why at the end. And with that, let's just get started. So what I think I'm going to do is go from my least favorite to my most favorite. That was very easy. My favorite one was very easy, and my least favorite was very easy. And if I put your very favorite Chanel fragrance at the bottom of my list, please don't be offended. Who knows? It could be my favorite in a couple months. So the one that is at the bottom of the list, poor little thing, is Coco. This is the Eau de Toilette. I tried so hard to do the original Coco. I have friends that wear that as a perfume. I have friends and colleagues that wear that, well, one, as a signature scent, and I love it on them, but I just couldn't pull it off myself. And I think it's just because it came down to it being too much of a fragrance and the cloves. It was just too much for me. I went ahead, I had that fragrance, I passed it along, and I got the Eau de Toilette instead. This is a little bit easier for me to take, but it still isn't me completely in a bottle. You know, it is a rose, amber, sandalwood, cloves fragrance. It still has some animalic notes. I wouldn't be surprised if this had civet in it, and it has a little bit of a spiciness to it, some spices, maybe some non-smoky incense. It is easier for me to take than the original Coco, but still not me in a bottle. And I think I bought it at one of the Sephora sales last year, and I have not picked it up. I sprayed it last night, and I haven't picked it up, you know, in over a year. So that is why Coco Eau de Toilette is in the, I want to say 13th place. Now the one that is in the 11th place, 12th place, which is a shocker to me. This used to be my signature scent. This is Chanel No. 5 Eau Premiere. This is, I can't even remember what number bottle this is for me. And again, it used to be my signature scent. I still think this is a beautiful, classy, lovely take on the original Chanel No. 5, which is not my cup of tea. I enjoy it on other people, but I don't personally own the original Eau de Parfum. I've never tried the Parfum. If it ever becomes available for me to smell it in person, I will give it a whirl. But the only reason why this is in the 12th position is because I just don't wear it anymore, even though I think it is so pretty. This to me is a more modern take on that Chanel Eau de Parfum DNA. The aldehydes are toned down. It still has the original florals. I want to say, you know, jasmine, ylang-ylang, probably a little bit of rose. It's not as soapy, and it's a little bit more creamy, softer, and a little bit more powdery. It is quite beautiful, and I need to wear it because to me, this is a year-round scent, and I think it's quite beautiful. Okay, so that would be the 11th position. Is a flanker of the Chanel Chance line, which I love, and this is Eau Vive. I bought this blindly because I like so many in the Chanel Chance line. You will see several of them. And the reason why this is my least favorite Chanel Chance flanker is because it was just so strong in the beginning. This has a very strong grapefruit. The grapefruit is very tart. It also has some blood orange and a little bit of jasmine. And so when I first smelled it and when I was first wearing it out, I just found it to be a little bit too slightly sharp and a little bit too strong in the opening. But what I have found as I have worn this, I've really come to embrace this. Except for the first 5 minutes, which is still very sharp, but this has become a work scent for me. It's very professional. It's very classy. When I wear this, people say I smell expensive. There's another one in here that I get the same reaction from other people, and I think because it smells, it's classy, it's chic, it has a teensy bit of that Boss Bee vibe, and it's a little bit more, it's not as whimsical as Chanel Chance Tendre, which I will be showing in a moment. But I've really grown to like this one, and it is a great work scent for me, particularly in the warmer weather. One of my very favorite Chanel fragrances of all time, and it's towards the bottom of the list, not because I don't love it. In fact, it is the fragrance that I compliment others on the most, and that's because it's fairly accessible. A lot of people wear it. I smell it out and about, and when I smell it, I always think whoever's wearing it smells terrific. I always compliment the wearer, and I say, "Are you wearing Chanel Chance, by the way?" And they always answer yes, because it is so terrific. So this is Chanel Chance Eau Tendre. Again, I don't know how many bottles I've gone through of this. I do not wear it, but I still just love it, and I cannot get rid of it. It's one of my favorite, the classy, fruity, floral fragrances with just a hair, and I mean a hair of a shampoo-y vibe in the best way. So the flowers being, I know there's jasmine in here because almost all Chanel fragrances have jasmine, quince, I want to say hyacinth, and is it grapefruit? I believe it is sweet grapefruit. And again, fantastic fragrance. I love to smell it on other people. I've had it for so long. I've gone through so many bottles. I just don't wear it anymore, and that's why it's lower down on the list. But I just can't imagine me decluttering it. The next one I think is my newest pickup. It's my most recent pickup, and I picked it up in the newest Sephora sale, even though this has been around for about 20 years. And this is Chanel Chance, the original, but this is the Eau de Toilette. So this is a beautiful patchouli fragrance that is very, very easy to take. It is a fresh patchouli, one of the best designer patchoulis out there. And compared to the Eau de Parfum, I wore them both side by side several times to decide which bottle I wanted. I ended up choosing the Eau de Toilette. It's a little bit more fresh. It's a little bit more light. It's a little bit more airy. It's a little bit easier to wear in a work setting, and I love this in a work setting. The Eau de Parfum is a little bit more bospy. It has a lot more pepper, and the florals are a lot more heavy. This is just a little bit more of a youthful, lighter, whimsical take on the Chanel Eau de Parfum. And I love it, and I have been wearing it almost daily since I purchased it. Another new pickup for me, let's see, I think I got this in the summer. I went through two testers, or two of the little travel sizes, and it went from a like to a love. And I think my first tester, or the first little bottle I got, probably got really, really hot during the transit when it got to me, because the bottle, when I opened it, it was really, really hot. And it smells a little bit different than the fragrance, than the full bottle that I ended up purchasing, and that is Chanel Comète. And this is, I would describe this as a clean, musky, powdery fragrance that highlights purple florals and cherry blossom. Now, cherry blossom can often be responsible for fragrances having a shampoo-y vibe, that and freesia, in my opinion. So I really don't get any of that. So if you don't like cherry blossom or a cherry blossom accord because you don't like that shampoo-y vibe, don't be afraid of this one. What this really is, to me, it's purple flowers. It's iris, and it is the heliotrope. And let me tell you, when you first spray it, it is really borderline gourmand. It has this beautiful almond cream, this sweet almond vanillic cream opening, and that has got to be the heliotrope, because heliotrope can oftentimes smell almondy, have a sweet almondy character to it, in addition to giving fragrances a powdery quality. So it starts creamy, it starts sweet, there's like this sweet almond vanillic cream, and then as it dries down, it becomes more powdery, it becomes less creamy, less sweet, less vanillic, more powdery, more of that makeup bag iris, and it is just so pretty, soft, musky. And if you don't typically like Chanel fragrances because of the aldehydes, I get little to no aldehydes on this one. So a very beautiful new release by Chanel that I've been enjoying. Okay, 7, 6, and 5 in the 7th position is Gabrielle Essence, and I was never a fan of the original Gabrielle, so it took me a long time to try the Essence. The reason why I'm still not a fan of the original Gabrielle, is because the white florals and the citruses in there combine to come off very metallic. It has there's something metallic about that fragrance. I find that the Essence does not have that. I get zero metallic touches in the Essence. It still has a lot of the same flowers. I know it has white flowers. It's got to have jasmine. It probably has a little bit of grapefruit, maybe some bergamot, but I know it has a splash of peach. Maybe it's that peach that's giving it a little bit of a kind sweetness. The citruses are still very strong, And the white flowers and jasmine are still very prominent, but there's something about the way that they are blended in the essence that is really quite lovely. This one is a professional scent to me. I have worn this to work many, many times. I don't overspray because I have a very strong, tight scent bubble. This is the other one that when people smell this on me, they say you smell expensive, you smell rich. I mean, a couple of the people had said it's not really a fragrance for me. It smells a little bit too old and professional, but they think it smells really, really good on me. So, and these are people that I know that tend to like, you know, body sprays or something light and vanillic, something light and coconut, very tropical. I mean, this one isn't like that. It does have a little bit of that Chanel vibe going on, but it has a professionalism about it. It has a chicness and a timelessness, but it's not overly grumpy. It's not an overly grumpy perfume. And one of my coworkers smelled this on me, wanted to know immediately what it was, and then literally left for work that day and got a bottle. She actually got a bottle of this and Eau Vive after smelling it on me at work. So the number 6 spot is, I love this perfume. I don't even know how many bottles I've gone through. This is Chanel Chance Fraiche. This is one of my all-time favorite Fraîches. This is a Fraîche that is just timeless. This is basically cedar, it's lemon, and it's hyacinth, I believe, but it just has this gorgeous freshness about it. I have loved it for so many years. I find this a very, very easy reach, particularly the spring, summer, and the warmer months. You know, truth be told, I don't really pull for it in the colder months. This is not a fragrance that reads colder weather to me, but in the summer, a very, very, very easy reach. One of my newest pickups, this was a lovely gift from my mom. We were smelling fragrances down when I was visiting her in Houston. I think it was in September. And she bought this one for me, Le Lion. This is the quintessential, this is the epitome of labdanum. And the note of labdanum is a very big part of an ambery accord, but it smells like sweet leather to me. So when I smell something that has a sweet, warm, leathery facet, I'm thinking of labdanum, and this is basically labdanum, patchouli, a little bit of vanilla. It smells like a beautiful, sweet leather perfume, like the prettiest leather accord out there, one of the prettiest leather perfumes out there. Very, very similar to Shalimar. Shalimar is a little bit different. There is a lot of the citruses and the animalic notes in Shalimar, particularly the EDP, come off as burn fuel on me. And I just can't get past that. I don't smell that on other people, but when I try to wear the Eau de Parfum, I just get this burned fuel kind of a thing. I do not get that in Le Lion. This is a little bit more warm, it's a little bit more powdery, and it has 0 animalic notes. I mean, it has leather, which is an animalic accord, but it doesn't smell skanky or stinky or off-putting at all. A lovely, lovely perfume. The ranking that I had last night, and I imagine if you asked me in another week, if I were to rank these in another week, I would come up with a different ranking, but it is what it is today. So in the 4th spot, it is Chanel number 5, L'Eau. This one I got in the summer, and I really, really enjoy this perfume. This is a flanker of Eau Premiere. It is not, in my opinion, a flanker of Chanel number 5. This is much closer to Eau Premiere. It is a lighter version. It's a more watery version. L'eau means water in French, and that's really what it reads to me. It is a watery version, a lighter, more airy, more citrusy, more fresh version of Eau Premiere, and it is just such a good perfume for me to wear. It's just a no-brainer. I find it to be a no-brainer, particularly in the hotter weather, because again, it's a little bit more citrusy, it's a little bit more light, it's a little bit more fresh, it's less powdery. I can't do powdery, heavy powdery perfumes in the summertime. They tend to be kind of overwhelming and suffocating. And so I find this to be quite beautiful. It wears lightly, but I find it to be a super easy fragrance to wear, you know, out and about. It's a professional scent. It's very light. You can get away with it at work because it's not an overbearing scent. And, you know, if you like super long lasting fragrances, you might be frustrated with it, but that I don't care about that. I'd rather them be more versatile, something I can wear, you know, to lunch, to dinner, on a date, and to work. So that puts us at slot number 3 for Coco Noir. This is patchouli, rose, sandalwood, and citruses. I find this to be this is a very sexy, very black leather, red lip kind of a fragrance. This is one of my Boss Bee fragrances when if I want to intimidate someone, which I never usually want to do. This would be certainly one of the fragrances I would choose. It's very, very professional. It's very sophisticated in a sexy way. And I would describe this as, you know, a toned down, lighter version of Coco. And then you take Chanel Coco Mademoiselle and you make it less sweet. You combine the two, you're gonna come up, the offspring is going to be Coco Noir, and I love it. So, spoiler alert, Coco Mademoiselle is not on this list. And it's not because I don't think it's a fabulous perfume. I do think it's a fabulous perfume. The only reason I don't have it is because here in the Midwest, where I live, the city where I live, nobody's wearing Baccarat Rouge 540 yet. It's starting to come on the scene now. But everybody wears Black Opium and Coco Mademoiselle. I can't tell you how many of my friends wear it. And for that reason, I don't have it myself. I can smell it out when I'm out and about, when I go to some sort of function or school function or basically anywhere I go, I'm going to smell Coco Mademoiselle. So I don't need to buy, I don't need to purchase a bottle, even though I have of late been really wanting to get the intense or the extreme version. That's really, really pretty. I tested it over Sephora over the past couple months and I really like it. And the final two, can you guess what the final two are? If you know me, you know what number one is, but number two, you might be a little bit surprised. The one that I ranked in the number 2 spot today, and it was number 2 spot yesterday, is 1957. I just find this to be such a lovely, easy Chanel to wear. I literally could wear, this is one of the Chanel fragrances that I would have no problem wearing year round. Deep in the winter when I like to wear my heavy gourmands, you know, I probably won't pull for this other than wanting a break from those heavy fragrances. So this one is soft, it is aldehydic, it's powdery, it has a fuzzy musk. The aldehydes are not as strong as some fragrances, particularly more vintage Chanel fragrances. It doesn't have those strong aldehydes. The prominent flower in here is not jasmine, but it is either iris or orris, and it comes off in the beginning to me very, very earthy, almost a touch dirty in the beginning. You know, that fades in about 15, 20 minutes, and then it becomes this beautiful, musky, powdery, slightly aldehydic, clean but not soapy, musky floral that I find just very, very beautiful. Very beautiful, very classic and easy going. And in the number 1 spot, I think you guys probably know, and you can tell by the dent that this has, is Coromandel, one of my favorite fragrances in many, many ways, particularly in the colder months. This is really me in a bottle because it has all of the notes and all of the accords that I enjoy. It is a beautiful patchouli, it has a beautiful amber, it has some incense, it has some gourmand notes, it's sweet, it's very, very resinous. My gosh, this smells so good. And some of the sweetness comes from white chocolate, which is exclusive to the Eau de Parfum. The Eau de Toilette does not have the white chocolate, and that really comes out. If you put this on skin, put a sweater on, man, that white chocolate sweetness is really going to come out. This is a lifer for me. It's very beautiful. It's very classic. I also love it because I introduced my mom to this and she loves it too. Picky Lori loves this fragrance, and that does it for my full bottles now. So that does it for the full bottles. Now, I spent a small fortune on getting these 5 ml decants, and buying Chanel decants or samples are very, very hard to find. I got mine from Perfume. I will put a link down below. But anyways, I think I paid like 200 bucks. I think I paid $200 for these 6 samples, and that was okay because I wanted something that I knew was authentic. You know what's worse than paying a lot of money for a perfume is paying a lot of money for a fake. And Chanel fragrances and Chanel in general, bags and clothing, is the most counterfeited brand of all time. I cannot tell you how many really good fakes I have found on secondhand sites, mainly Mercari. I just snoop around over there, and let me tell you, if in general, in life, if something is too good to be true, there's usually a reason, because it usually is. So if they're advertising a Les Exclusive over on Mercari, a brand new, never opened bottle, a $300 plus bottle, and they're selling it for $100, common sense needs to kick in and tell you, maybe this isn't authentic. And let me tell you, they're getting really, really good at their counterfeit. So it's important to be able to get your nose on a good sample. And I've found a reputable place that sells good samples, but you have to pay a little bit more for it, which is fine, because some of these I almost bought after testing them one time on paper, and I am so glad I didn't, because that would have been a lot of money down the drain. And I'm going to take these and I'm going to sell them on Mercari or give them away and try to recoup a little bit of my money back. And some of these I'm on the fence about buying a full bottle, but let me tell you the 3 that did not make the cut, and I will not be purchasing a full bottle. One of them that almost turned out to be a terrible purchase was 31 Rue Cambon. Now, I thought I smelled this down when I was perfume shopping in Houston in September. I thought I sprayed this on a card because I had the 31 Rue Cambon card in my purse and I kept smelling it. We had been, spraying perfumes all day, and I just thought that one smelled so great. What happened is I think I sprayed something else on the 31 Rue Cambon card, because this one is not something that I want to purchase, and I almost bought the 200 ml bottle. Boy, am I so glad I went ahead and got the sample to double check and do a full wear test on this one, because it is not for me. So 31 Rue Cambon is the address of the flagship store, the original store, Chanel store in Paris. And this one has been around for a long, long time. And I think a lot of people are going to smell it. Well, the reason why it didn't work out for me is that it just had too much of a vintagey flair. It smelled a little bit, so the Chanels I can't do 1922, and I can't do 1932. I hate to use the word vintage smelling, but they do smell a little bit dated. I might have liked that in a different time of my life. I might have liked that type of a fragrance, but I like something a little bit lighter, a little bit airier, a little bit softer, a little bit more musky, so it doesn't align with my taste right now, even though, maybe 15, 20 years ago, I probably would have liked it more. But this has that vibe. The flowers are very, very strong, very concentrated, and it has a lot of aldehyde. So 31 Rue Cambon will not be added to my full bottle list. The next one that was a surprise like for me, which is Bel Respiro, which is, I think, the address or a town of one of Chanel's country homes. And it smells like the countryside. It smells, I don't typically like super, super green fragrances. This smells very green, very fresh, very grassy, but there's something appealing about it. Even though I don't typically tend to gravitate towards that type of a fragrance, I find it a really good fresh green, like fresh cut grass with a little bit of sweetness, but not in a saccharine way, not in an overly sweet way. So I found this nice, but it just doesn't align with a love of mine. And let me tell you, at these prices, you have to really love them, in my opinion, to get them. And then one that was a surprise no for me is Chanel Gardénia. I had tested this before. I think it's a really good Gardénia fragrance. It's hard to find good Gardénia fragrances that aren't a little bit off-putting, because you can't extract the oil, an essential oil, from a gardenia flower right now. You have to use different notes to make a gardenia accord. I've tried so many gardenia perfumes. Gardenia in real life smells amazing. One of the prettiest flowers of all time in real life, but it just is so hard to duplicate that in perfumery. And I think this is a really, really good attempt to recreate the Gardénia essence. But ever since I got Bond number 9, I think or New York Gardenia, that one just scratches that itch. I really don't feel like I need another really expensive Gardenia perfume in my collection. That one's really, really good. So before, this was on my wish list. Ever since getting New York Gardenia, it is off my wish list. I don't need it, particularly at these prices. Now, the 3 that I'm really on the fence about getting a full bottle are Chanel Le Pausa. This is a beautiful iris, like a powdery, musky iris. It's a powdery, airy, lipsticky iris, and I just think it's just a stunning iris perfume if you love iris fragrances. The only reason I'm not going to buy a full bottle, 2 reasons. The price, and I already have something that is similar. I have Le Peau Nue from Celine, which is, it kind of is in that very same category. That one is a little bit more starchy because I think it has a rice accord in it, and I love that rice accord, but they're just too similar. I have a travel in that, which is fine by me. So I don't need a full bottle of La Pausa, even though it's so pretty. Chanel number 18, a beautiful, basically a musky fragrance, an ambrette. It's a lovely, musky, woody, floral. Ambrette is a botanical vegetal version of musk, and I think it's very cozy. It's very fluffy. It adds a cozy fluffiness to many, many fragrances. For whatever reason, in the beginning, this comes off a little bit sour. Maybe it's the woods. It almost has that cumin or cedar profile that goes into the BO category just for a bit. So I'm assuming that it's either spices and or the woods in here, even though woods typically are a base note. But after that kind of burns off, I get a beautiful fluffy musk, and I think it's gorgeous, but I find that I just don't need it. Again, particularly at the prices of the Les exclusive line. The one that I probably will be getting a full bottle of either for me or my mother is Chanel Jersey. Picky Lori loves lavender, and this is a beautiful lavender fragrance. She's not a fan of vanilla, but the way that the vanilla is done in here, it's non-gourmand, so it adds a very sneaky sweetness without reading overtly vanilla, and it's certainly not gourmand. The lavender in here is done so well, and the vanilla in here is done so well. The lavender's not screechy or soapy, and the vanilla is not overly sweet. I think it's beautiful. It's very comforting. It's almost spa-like. It's very relaxing, and it has another soft musk in the background. What I think I will do is I will buy a bottle for my mom, and then I will decant some for myself. That'll probably be what I do, and that was it. Ranking of 19 Chanel fragrances. Tell me what you think. Were there any surprises? Did I surprise you guys with any of my choices? And if you like this type of house overview ranking, let me know in the comments below. Again, if you didn't put your favorite Chanel fragrances down below, we would all love a list. Let us know down below if you liked the video. If you got something out of it, I would love a thumbs up. And if you're not yet subscribed, I would love it if you would join my fragrance family. Thanks again for sticking around. Thanks for watching. And I will see you on the next one.